Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Jake and I were just having a really short conversation about golf. And I did not grow up a big fan of golf. You know, obviously basketball, football, baseball, but it wasn't so much golf. And maybe this is unfair, and maybe this is, I didn't listen a little bit earlier, and I should have, but we'll go back because we love Query and Company. I'll tell you what I was doing with Doug Bowles a little bit earlier today as to why I was not, as I normally am, a P1 from noon until 3, but we believe that maybe we're kind of, we're Generation X members, right? Are we kind of caught in what we would call no man's land? So you go Palmer and Nicklaus, which was, the golden era of golf. And then, we had guys like, Tom Watson, for example. And then you went to Fred Couples in the 1990s, was a hell of a deal, if I remember accurately. And then everybody fell in love with Tiger Woods, and you have that particular era. So it was almost like Generation X a little bit, and this is nothing against the golfers that were elite level at that time. This is a great question, I think, for Ted Bishop. We'll have to get Ted of Legends. We're going to have our golf outing. We'll do that coming up on Monday with a recap of the Masters, because I owe it to you to give you that coverage, but it's weird how I know everybody cannot wait. Like our friend Nathaniel is, I think, going. We know Kevin Bowen. We'll talk about it coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. He absolutely loves it. And for all of us, it's a game that we can go out and play. So at the lowest levels, we can easily associate with it because we play it. Easily. Like basketball, I play it, and I sucked at it last night. By the way, 3 days in a row, the guy is on the comeback trail right here. But I can associate with it. You can associate with it because we can do it. Now, with football, it's different because you just don't roll out and put on the pads at age 55 and go play. And if you are, you're nuts. I will say this. I don't know if he's 55 or not, but we have a P1 listener named Bobby Jefferson, who is an awesome dude. That is one guy I can imagine that would probably pad up and go out and play a little backyard pickup football. But let's just say it doesn't happen enough. So you can't easily associate with it. So it's kind of weird. So maybe we're in Generation X in a no man's land of golf. And certainly if you were growing up with the legend that is Tiger Woods, that's where you probably fell in love with it. And there's just a difference between where we were. And I thought Jake made a great point. It's kind of like where we were in tennis. When I was growing up, when Jake was growing up, we both could name like the top 10 tennis players, both men and women in the world. I don't think I could, from both groups, give you like 3 people right now. Probably not. Actually, I know I couldn't. But throughout the 1980s, into the 90s, I think you easily could do that. Who knows? Maybe the love of pickleball that everybody has right now, which is crazy because all these places we used to go, remember, it's so hard to play pickup basketball because all those venues have now been transformed into pickleball venues. But maybe pickleball will bring back a level of love for tennis that certainly has, at least with us, maybe it's just me, but with us, it's kind of fallen off just a little bit. Not quite sure. But I thought that was a hell of a question Jake asked, and Jake dropped that on me before he walked out. And there you go. He was asking about my love for the Masters. And, of course, if it's on, I will sit back and watch. It's always more difficult to sit back and watch on a Saturday or a Sunday, especially a Sunday when it's nice outside. So we'll see how the weather plays a role or dictates the terms for you this weekend. But normally, it's kind of like a race where you'll just drop in at the very end and see what the hell goes on. And it is easier now more than ever to do that because of the social media and the technology influences that we have. Speaking of influences, I don't know. I would like to sit here and say, you need to be better. I would like to sit here and tell you that they should be better. I would like to sit here and demand that you go out there every single night like you're playing for your basketball career, but we all know that isn't true. Now, if you go on the other side of this, it sounds like that I'm giving some big fat excuse for the Pacers and the way that they played through most of that game last night, and I'm not. Like, I guess I'm not good enough to evaluate what could be described as half-assing, but I do know what lack of shot making looks like. Like, I can't tell, to me, if, guys, hey, we're not playing hard. That's tough to tell. But I can tell when you can't throw it in the stinking ocean, like the Pacers couldn't last night for the better part of that game. So was that more the issue last night? And a lot of people had sent this to me. Hey, this team is just not elite level because they refused. They played down to their competition. They refuse to dismiss those teams that are less than them most of the time. I don't know. I think last night it was more about that they looked like they had my jumpers. Like I said, hey, Pacers, do you guys want to go out and utilize my jumper tonight? Because that's what it looks like. You basketball fans, you basketball players out there, people that still love it, you used to love it, whatever. I mean, what is the opposite of being in a zone? It is looking broke-ass like me. And the Pacers looked incredibly broke-ass last night. Seriously, it was like they came up and said, hey, you know what? We're in need of a jumper tonight. I think we're going to rest our jumpers. Hey, JMV, do you mind if we borrow your jump shot? Yeah, there it is. And it was just clank, 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 clank. It looked like the first half of the national championship game. Except on both sides, the defensive presence, the aggressiveness wasn't there. So I would chalk it up last night, and hopefully you don't see that in the postseason, because I think it's what I mentioned yesterday. You have a lot of the national writers out there, and I'm sure you guys have noticed, that are fully on board with the Pacers. Hey, this could be a team. They could get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Nobody's talking about them. They're good, off the radar. Now, to us, because we pay attention, it's meaningful to us, and it's daily. We pay attention, and we over-evaluate every single possession. That's what we do. That's what you do as a Pacer fan. That's what I do. Every single possession is under the microscope. Now, nationally, they just kind of swoop in and, hey, this is a nice story. What, the 4 seed is what they can solidify with their next win? The 4 seed, and that's home court in the first round. And you saw what they did a year ago. Maybe they have that in them again. Very deep team. Get up and down the floor. They play with the tempo that some teams don't. Other teams try. Defense, by the way, is better this year. But what we see is the ups and the downs. What we see is, all right, so the better part of 3.5 quarters, this is what we witnessed against the Wizards last night. And the Wizards really had no thought. There would have been zero enjoyment had they won that game. There are a handful of teams right now that could not care less if they won a game and, in fact, would rather lose a game. And the Wizards would be one of those. So that's what we see. We see that. And that's why when we're asked, I think we're more apt here to suggest that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about another Eastern Conference Finals because we are privy to and paying attention to all the shortcomings. We just don't see a box score in Denver on a Sunday night or the standings of where they are. We don't just see that. We see all the other stuff. So I think that's one of the reasons why. And the other reason why is you just don't have anybody. Like there are maybe 2, 3, 4 teams that everybody is hardcore about nationally, and then everybody else kind of fills in the gaps when they have a minute. When you have, 35 seconds left in a segment, then you might bring the Pacers up or another team up in the postseason. I think that's where we are right now with this. So it's going to be good to see them lock down the 4 seed, get that home court, and then we'll see what happens with Milwaukee and Detroit. But we know both of those teams, and certainly it looks like it'd be Milwaukee anyway, right? So you get Milwaukee, you get Detroit, but you get Milwaukee, and we saw what took place a year ago. Those are 2 rival teams. It's funny. Like, players, when asked, may not so readily or easily tell you that they have a rival. I've never understood that. I think that's great. Like, the golden era of the NBA was built on what? Arguably the most tremendous rivalry of all time. So why would you not embrace it? They're not much of a rival. And I think a lot of it comes from an ego of a Bucks team that always feels like they're better, that have been better. And I think ego plays a role. If I were the NBA, I would want all of our teams to say, yeah, you know what? There's a rivalry here. I would want that type of salty behavior each and every night, so it doesn't become a little bit boring. And you remember the golden era, and that's what it was all about. I don't know if you've been watching Celtic City yet, that Bill Simmons production on HBO. It is very good, but it's funny. We are also privy to all of those stories now. I watch it, and it never gets old. Whether we're talking about the Lakers and the Celtics in the early 80s, or you get to 1984 and what was arguably one of the better NBA finals. If you can remember, that was McHale headhunting Rambis and fights and Bird and Jabbar getting into it. I mean, one of the better in memory, certainly. But, that rivalry is what it was. And it seems like even if they're retelling stories we already know, it's still incredibly entertaining. So if I were the NBA and I had the players ask whether or not this was a rivalry, especially in the first round of the postseason, I would want to, again, dictate those terms to the players. Say, yeah, make it a rivalry. Make it interesting. Because you do have to have a little bit of theater of the mind, don't you, even past the basketball? I mean, they had that back then. There was a true line drawn in the sand, if not multiple lines drawn in the sand. Made a huge difference. Pacers last night, what was it? I don't know who said this, but described the Pacers as playing with their food. I don't think last night was one of those cases. I just think the Pacers had broke-ass jumpers. And I mean really across the board. I think that was the issue. More so than anything else. But they get the win, and that's what matters the most. And you move on, and you get Cleveland. Actually, back-to-back Cleveland and Orlando at Gainbridge Fieldhouse coming up tomorrow night and Friday night. 104-98 was the final. Pascal Siakam, 24 and 10 upon his return. And he is a dude out there that shot it well. 11 of 19, 24 points and 10 rebounds. The memory will be Miles' late 3 make that helped out. The thing that you will want to forget is the fact that he was 1 of 7 from distance. He would be one of those that asked if they could borrow my broke-ass jumper last night. Andrew Nembhard borrowed my broke-ass jumper last night. Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell. And I'm sure they probably would want to rid themselves of my broke-ass jumper AFP. Yeah, it was a struggle last night. So what, 38% I think for the game, 9 of 35 from distance is a robust 26%. So that was problematic. I would even say this, at 29 of 37, I mean, 8 free throw misses. I think Obi missed a couple. Miles missed 3. And that's how you can tell, really, team's not dialed in if you're missing free throws. You're going to say, well, you know what, that is, 78%? That's not bad. Well, in the NBA, I would say we used to have this, and this goes back to the 1980s. We used to talk about if you didn't shoot at least 85% or better, then you need to run laps. It's the NBA. That's all you got to do is go out there and nobody guards you and you shoot free throws. But it wasn't a great night shooting whatsoever. They get a win. That's what matters. You get 2 more at home here Thursday and Friday, and then close out the regular season on the road. And we'll see the magnitude of that matchup with the Cavaliers coming up on Sunday in Cleveland and just how meaningful or lack thereof it just might be. So we'll go over that coming up, too. A little Major League Baseball. If you guys want to go in that direction, we can certainly do that, too. And I mentioned you got the Masters that is officially underway. Maybe, generationally speaking, mine of Generation X. Maybe some of us were lost. And I guess growing up and not playing all the time like others do, that is also different. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you probably learned the game, went out with your dad and played. I can count on one hand how many things I did with my dad. So it's a little bit different, I think, right there. But certainly when you get to the final round and you get late on Sunday, I think normally we're all kind of dialed into that. Are we not? Hey, quick shout out, by the way, too. You'll see this video once it is officially produced. But every single year, Doug Bowles, Speedway president, IndyCar president, and we shoot a video for Carb Day. Carb Day 2025. Tickets available right now. You got Brett Michaels, and you got the All-American Rejects. So we ran around downtown today. We went over to Bottle Works and handed out tickets. Miller Lite Carb Day, May the 23rd. And a shout-out to Doug Bowles because he let me, the hillbilly, the redneck, and I posted a little bit on X. Sean Collinsworth said, hey, don't turn this into the German Fiero 1974 mid-engine Porsche 914. I actually posted the only picture I have after I wrecked that, and it's significant. But I left the Corvette that I drove around downtown today in much better condition. I felt comfortable driving that. I did a little parallel parking. Now, it's easier because it's got cameras and stuff. And he goes, hey, man, you're getting too close to the curb. Like my driver's ed, Mrs. McNabb never said that. Hey, too close to the curb. Hey, you got these beeps going off and stuff. I don't know how they do that now. How does driver's ed do it now with cameras? It's not the same damn thing.
They didn't have cameras and I took driver's ed.
I got docked points because I had to parallel park between a car and a boat that was sitting on the street in Bloomington. I think it was on Lincoln. Was Lincoln run one way? I can't remember, north or south, one way. And I had to parallel park. It's like my first day on Lincoln in Bloomington. Hey, let's go. And again, we're hillbillies, so we drove illegally forever, and I'm not afraid to tell you. Like, I drove my car to school before I had a license. That's just kind of a rite of passage. I mean, you move on from lawnmowers to tractors. You're able to drive. By the time you're 12, I mean, hell, you feel comfortable in driving. But they had me parallel park, and I think I tapped when this was an 85 Buick Century we were driving, was our car. And I tapped the front. It was awkward, right? Because the boat had had the whatever it is, right, jutting out right there, the hookup, and I think I bumped that. I got docked points for bumping the boat. I would think that's no problem if you have cameras today. Parallel parking. But, man, it was a hell of a good time. Thank you to Doug Bowles. Again, tickets are available. Miller Lite Carb Day, May the 23rd. We're going to be doing the show out there. It will be your normal type of incredible party. And there were some things. He told me about JMV TakeOver being live out there, too. So there is a lot of special things we're working out right now that will make it even more fun. I think the most difficult thing about driving this Corvette today was getting out. There was zero way I could have gotten in or out of that last year. Like, I needed to lose 79 pounds to get my ass in there. Seriously. It was like, I don't know. Some of you cave, what do they call it? Spelunking? Anybody out there cave? You know, when you go through these tights, that's what I'd never been caving, but I would gather that's what it feels like to get into that. Because it is a tight window. Like, I know what Bo and Luke felt like every time they had to jump through the window of the General Lee. Except it was a much tighter spot. But thanks to Doug for doing that today. Everybody we met over at Bottle Works handed out tickets to, and you will see that video coming up. It was absolutely outstanding. Now, our digital team was out there, Scott and David and Nick. Yeah, great time had by all, and thanks to Doug. I believe Doug suggested, and I agreed, that I need the vet for the weekend of a JMV takeover. So in the month of May, I believe we're going to get that vet for a weekend of the JMV takeover. I had no idea until you go out. Like, it's cool that everybody listens to this show and you're a part of this show, and we go out and you're even more of a part of it because that's what it's always been about. But it's cool that everybody that listens on Saturday night, and that was just kind of something that I started just jacking around. I was bored during COVID. And to see what that has transformed into, and when you go out, oh yeah, Saturday night, I love Saturday night. So a lot of people today, thank you very much, and thank you to both Speedway and IndyCar President Doug Bowles for letting me wheel around downtown the Corvette pace car, and yes, it is badass. Badass. Actually, I'm going to send this back out. And if you missed that a little bit earlier, Doug had sent this out too. Check it out. All right, busy show for you. JJ, bottom of the hour, right? Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV. It is a big day in Terre Haute. And not because I'm coming back and throwing a party to Ethan Crawford. No, I'm not really doing that. Now, it'd be a big damn day if I were doing that. Me and Scomp, R.I.P., our good friend Mark Jones. If we were going back and throwing one more rager at Ethan Crawford, that would be a damn big day in the history of Vigo County. However, we're not. Nathan Christensen is the director of athletics. This is the big day, the big week for Indiana State athletics. And they are raising money. I think they're calling it the Blue Day. Something like that anyway. We'll talk to Nathan about that. I don't think Nathan has been on the show, but as you know, I always am there to help the alma mater. Nathan's going to join us coming up at 4:30 later on today. Kevin Bowen, his love affair started with, I'm going to guess, Tiger. With golf and certainly the Masters. Kevin joins us at 4. Katie Baird, outside hitter, the Indy Ignite, a former Perry Meridian standout, a former Stanford Cardinal, and the sister of Dusty Bear that I play basketball with every Sunday. Katie's going to join us. They have a big weekend going on with the Indy Ignite at the Fishers Event Center on Saturday. You need to be a part of that. We'll talk to Katie about that and a lot more coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Otherwise, 239-1070. Email address is jmv@1075thefan.com. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. And a shout-out to Matt and Matt on this Wednesday for always being awesome. The one thing that I gather driving that Corvette around downtown, there's a reason why you all have, and if you don't, you need AAA. because you're lower to the ground and to the road, and the potholes, it looks like the stinking Grand Canyon. Seriously. You'll get swallowed up by one of those. That's why you need AAA. If you don't have it right now, sign up for AAA today, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. The stream, the app, JJ on the other side. Do not go anywhere. A busy Wednesday with Blink 182 tickets we'll give away as well. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Diablo sandwich of Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Bo at top of the hour, his love of golf. Katie Baird, outside hitter of the Indy Ignite. Indy Ignite's got a big Saturday for you. I'll tell you all about it coming up. And a big day, a big week in Terre Haute. Even though I am not throwing a reunion type of rager at 8th and Crawford, Nathan Christensen, Director of Athletics, will join us. I got a lot of questions to ask regarding Indiana State, even beyond the fundraising abilities that they have. We'll talk a little Indiana State Sycamore Athletics with Nathan, first time on the show in the 4 o'clock hour, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He's from Pacers TV, friend of the show, Jeremiah Johnson, joins us. So I've explained it this way. Like, a lot of people want to suggest, well, last night was a half-ass effort. And I'm a really descriptive dude, and sometimes I will say it that way. But last night wasn't about it being half-ass. Last night was about for some reason, I traded my jump shot with theirs, I think, last night. And it was not a fair trade for them because their jumper, everybody but basically Siakam and maybe Mathurin, was absolutely broke as a joke last night. That's what that came down to, and that was just a situation, JJ, that you had to survive, and they did.
You kind of could see that coming when you remember what happened just a couple of weeks ago when, as Rick Carlisle said, you won by 100 or you didn't miss any shots. The reality was you were 27 of 47 against that same team a couple of weeks ago. And much like you don't have off shooting nights like you had last night, you don't have incredible shooting nights like you had in Washington a couple of weeks ago. So you were due to have one of those let-up type of games. And, you know, you have to think back as well to what happened on Sunday night in Denver. And that was a really, really big win in the Mountain Time Zone, and you had to come home. And you play 82. They're not always going to be great. You've got to figure out a way to win the ones when you don't play your best, and I think that's what they did. And as you mentioned, I mean, there were so many shots early on where that's the shot you want, but it just did not go in. So they're able to overcome it. I kind of treat last night's game as one that you just kind of move on. You say that's a win, and now you move on to the next one.
He's Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV. Pacers go back-to-back at home to close out the regular season schedule at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's with Cleveland and Orlando tomorrow and Friday night, on the road in Cleveland to close out the regular season coming up on Sunday. Nationally, it seems like there are a lot of people all of a sudden now on board with the Pacers. Now, I think that is different from the local angle, and here's the reason why. I think we are all, and Pacer fans are a little bit more apprehensive about putting them on a pedestal going into the postseason because we're just in the thick of it here. Like, we've been through the good and the bad, and there's more of a question. Nationally, it seemed like that maybe those folks started paying attention maybe a couple of weeks ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it does make sense, but I think those people do remember at least watching the Pacers in the playoffs last season. And so even though no one wanted to give them credit for winning a series against Milwaukee due to injuries, and then no one wanted to say, well, you know, you would have lost to the Knicks if they were healthy. That was kind of the narrative. You still saw these guys make plays on a big stage, and I think that is where you start to have a belief in a group. So the Pacers, having been to the Eastern Conference Finals and then had really a sustained 3-month, maybe even 4-month run of really good basketball, if you follow the NBA, you can't help but take notice. And I have also listened to a number of podcasts and listened to analysts, and who knows what will happen, but, you know, the talk about all NBA, for a guy like Tyrese Halliburton to not make the All-Star game, but yet also now being under strong consideration for one of 15 All-NBA spots, it says a lot about how he's been able to get things going. And I think people are really taking notice. So we'll see what happens. I would understand anyone saying that Cleveland and Boston are on another level, but outside of those two teams right now, I see no reason why you shouldn't at least slot the Pacers in as maybe the third most likely team and the one that does have that experience making that run last season.
All right. Are you expecting Milwaukee to be that first-round competition?
I think so. I mean, the one thing is, if Detroit really wants it, they do control their own destiny. Now, Detroit would have to win all of the rest of their games, but 2 of those games are against Milwaukee. And so if you get to the last weekend of the season and all Detroit has to do to earn the 5 seed is beat Milwaukee twice, I would not count the Pistons out. That being said, I counted the Bucks out last night, and I was ready to start having a podcast with Pat Boylan about locking up the 4 seed, and all of a sudden Milwaukee rallies from down 24 points in the fourth quarter. Thanks for nothing, Timberwolves. I can't believe that happened. So every day I have a different opinion on who I would prefer to play, and at this point I'm kind of in the middle, so I don't know that I'll react that strongly either way. Bring on the Bucks, bring on the Pistons, whoever it might be, but it does seem most likely that it will be Milwaukee.
And what JJ's alluding to is the 110-103 win of the Bucks last night over Minnesota. Giannis has been really good. Triple-double last night, really good recently. And we know him to be really good. I will say this, though. The dynamic has such changed for me, and maybe that's because I'm still looking at last year in the postseason, because they traded away, even though he was unavailable, oftentimes he was available in the postseason, and he is a shot maker, and that is Chris Middleton. And I don't think that is a good swap for them to get Kuzma in those situations over Middleton. So you compound that with certainly the high level of Lillard uncertainty. I think that Milwaukee looks to be, even with Giannis, that better first round with home court competition that the Pacers would be looking at.
Better competition or better chance of defeating? So you're saying you?
No, I would rather have Milwaukee here
than Detroit, the
yes.
newcomers on the scene.
Yeah,
well,
I think Detroit's going to. I think Detroit muddies up the water, and who knows with Cade Cunningham. The Pacers struggle with doing much with him defensively. I mean, it's one thing to not be able to do anything with Giannis. I don't trust the supporting cast anymore with Giannis. I do trust a little bit more some of what they have, whether it's Beasley or Hardaway or Duran or whomever. Tobias Harris is another one. I just think that Detroit also will muddy up the water and ugly things up a little bit to the point to where that wouldn't be better beneficial, I guess, for the Pacers in round one.
Yeah, and a couple of other, arguments that back up what you say is Giannis Antetokounmpo in a series against the Pacers, I think we could probably all acknowledge is the best player in the series. But as Pat Boylan, brought up with me last night on our podcast, the second best player, maybe Tyrese Halliburton, probably Tyrese Halliburton. The third best player, Pascal Siakam, and he said, and the fourth best player in the series, Miles Turner. Now, maybe some diehard Bucks fans would disagree with you, and that's assuming that Damian Lillard is not able to play. So if you don't have the best player, but you've got the next three, and you've got the team that has, let's say a little bit better chemistry and cohesiveness, then I like your chances, and add into the fact that you might have that home court advantage as well. So you convinced me. Let's bring on the Bucks.
Yeah, and I just Detroit's never been there with this particular group, and it'd be kind of new and interesting as we saw with the Pacers. And the other thing about Milwaukee is, and we may be seeing this with Denver, and we sure as hell are seeing this to close out the regular season in Phoenix. This is going to be a last hurrah for some major players in the NBA, going from the team we know them to be a part of to a different team coming up next year.
If the Bucks would happen to lose a first-round series for the third straight season, the patience would wear out there in Milwaukee. And I don't disagree with you, and they'll have some tough decisions to make in the offseason. It's not, far be it for me to say what other teams should do, but we have seen a lack of patience around the NBA, just the shocking, surprising late season decisions in Memphis and Denver. And these are two teams that at the time of their decision were right there in home court advantage in the Western Conference. It's almost unthinkable. So you're almost watching some of these first round series once the 8 playoff teams in each conference are set and say, whichever 8 teams lose, those players and coaches could be in for some change. I would not say that the Pacers would be in that category just because they've continued to improve. And this is still, I think, more of a long-range plan. But at the same time, some of these teams around the league, if you suffer a first-round exit, who knows what will happen.
It's Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Let's say the Pacers close the door tomorrow night at home against Cleveland. How do they play out Friday and Sunday? Or let's just say if the door is closed for whatever reason, how do they play out that next game that does remain in this case?
Yeah, by all indications, your original point is accurate, that as long as they still have to lock up the 4 seed, which is so important to them, it should be all hands on deck. And then if they get that home court advantage, and I guess the question would be is if you still had an outside chance at the 3 seed, do you value that, or are you pretty content getting getting 4? My thought would be anybody that has any minor things would get a little bit of rest. And even if maybe you play guys a little bit half the time, again, this is just me talking, no inside information here, but it would be good to get a little bit of rest towards the end of the regular season for guys that have really played, 65, 70, 75 games. I mean, look at Pascal Siakam only having missed 2. The good news is no matter what happens, you have that full week off. If you're not a part of the play-in tournament, I don't know that you necessarily have to say, well, you have to take off Friday and Sunday, because then you'd be off for about 10 days before the first round, and then you start to worry a little bit about rust. So it'll be a pleasant problem. It'll be a nice decision to have to make if you can have that home court advantage locked up some way or another tomorrow night.
All right, JJ, in closing here, who needs to up their game, their performance individually, just in time for the postseason, and who have you been most impressed with recently with this Pacer team?
A couple of weeks ago, I was a little concerned about the bench, and I was thinking, the bench isn't something you normally think about going into a playoff series. However, it was a big factor in those games against the Bucks and the Knicks, and the way the Pacers play, to be fresh, for their starters to play their best, they have to have a little bit of time not in the game. You can't play them 42 minutes and expect the Pacers' pace to last that entire time. So you need the bench to step up. So my concern a couple of weeks ago is less now, because I do think that group has played better. I've really enjoyed the impact that Obi Toppin has made. He's earned maybe an extra 2 or 3 minutes a half, whether it's with that starting group when Pascal Siakam's on the bench, or the times we've seen obviously that Pascal did not play, but you don't want that or expect that. But the energy that Obi Toppin has provided has been really good. The only other thing that I would say, looking for improvement area, this is kind of nitpicking just a little bit, but Andrew Nembhard is so good defensively. I still think he needs to be a factor offensively. You don't want to look down at the end of the game and have him only attempt, 3 shots and have 5 points, even though he can still make contributions in other areas. So that would be the one thing I'm sort of looking at. If teams really sell out to take Tyrese Halliburton away in some of his shots, you'd like to see Andrew Nembhard have, 12 to 15 points. And again, scoring's not everything, but you just want to make sure he's involved in the offense for the minutes that he's playing.
Not that this matters one bit, but in closing here, I think ESPN, those that cover the NBA, have the Pacers presently 8th in the power rankings. If that mattered, which it doesn't, but for the sake of this question and this conversation, let's say that it does right here. Is that accurate?
I think so. I mean, the question to me would probably be if there are 5 Western Conference teams better, then who do you rank higher, Pacers or Knicks? And I think that would be a great series, although they won't play each other unless they get to the conference final. So I think right around 8 is a fair ranking. Many would say the Western Conference is a little better than the East, but one reason you would really back up that statement of being 8th or even higher is the Pacers' record against Western Conference competition this season. I don't think a lot of people understand. A lot of the East teams generally lose 2 out of 3 against the West, and the Pacers this season finished 21-10 against the West, including wins against some of the really good teams, and their record against above 500 and playoff teams is much better than, let's say, a team that I just mentioned, the New York Knicks. So I think 8 is fair. I think you could go anywhere probably between 6 and 9 and be totally realistic, because you, as mentioned, the top 2 teams in the East and maybe 3 or 4, maybe the top 3 in the West, you might put them just a peg below. But I could say a little bit higher. I guess I'd put them 6 or 7, but 8 is not unfair.
Of the playoff teams, the 10, including the play-in here, the Pacers have road wins. Is this accurate? Against 7 of them? Is it everybody but the Lakers, Rockets, and Thunder? that they have Western Conference road wins against? No, and the Grizzlies. They did not win in Memphis. There's another one. There's 4, right?
No, but yeah, well,
They won.
correct.
They won in Dallas,
win
one in Sacramento, one in Minnesota, one in Golden State, one against the Clippers, and in Denver.
Yep, that is accurate. And then you won at home against the Rockets, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves. These
That is
are
impressive.
really good wins.
That is impressive, right there. I just look at the road event beyond. That's impressive. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason you mentioned to start this interview. People are starting to take notice because a lot of times people will get up in the morning, what I missed from last night, who won, who lost. And since the All-Star break, there has been at least one really eye-opening win for the Pacers in every single week, and there really haven't been the bad losses. If you're paying attention, yeah, there have been bad starts, but they haven't really had the bad losses either. So they're really playing about as well as you could want and have a really good vibe about them right now in this last week of the regular season.
Good vibe indeed. 6:30 tomorrow night, 6:30 on Friday night. Pacers TV pregame. And the anchor of that programming, Jeremiah Johnson on the Andy Moore Automotive Group line. Always a pleasure. My good man. We'll check back in coming up at some point next week, okay?
Just a quick clarification. Tomorrow is an off night for me. It's national TV tomorrow.
Oh, is it?
So we will
All right.
We will not be on the air for pregame coverage until Friday, helping celebrate fan appreciation.
Well, that's bull crap because we're always wanting to watch it local. You know that.
I appreciate you saying that. And we had a smothered chicken last night.
Yes,
Clint
I
Butler.
heard that. I thought somebody forced him into that situation last night a little bit. I think the fans.
I think it's always spontaneous. I don't know.
Yeah. My brother, I appreciate it. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Take care.
JJ on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I thought Miles had more significant smothered chickens prior to that last night. But, yeah, that was a moment on Pacers TV. Quick break. We come back. It's Kevin coming up at the top of the hour. And we'll do some Indiana State love, bottom of the hour. And Katie Barrett of the Indy Ignite coming up after 5. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
it. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm John. Thank you for joining us on the show today. James, crank up this Lionel Richie. You like the song Dancing on the Ceiling by Lionel Richie on B1057? No, I just hit the post on that bad boy, too. I would have to rank this. Let's go with the deep catalog of Lionel Richie, not including the Commodores. Where's the song rank?
It's up there. I still think I'd have to say All Night Long is my favorite one of his.
All Night Long. Look at you. The fact that you're digging that one out.
But this might be my second favorite.
Yeah. I've always liked Running with the Night. This is my favorite Lionel Richie, and it's a little bit off the beaten path. You are the sun, you are the rain that makes my life this foolish game. You need to know I love you so, and I would do it all over again. Whoa, 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 whoa. You are Lionel Richie, 1983. That is my favorite of the catalog. It's weird, too, because it's not one that, like, jumps off the page. Like, Hello is going to jump off the page because, remember the whole, he kind of stalked the blind girl a little bit, and she made that sculpture of his head, and that was really weird. Running with the Night. Yeah, Dancing on the Ceiling. Say You, Say Me from the White Knight soundtrack. So, non-Commodores division, I'm going to go with You Are. Ooh, how about Penny Lover? The great part about it is how many times he and the late, great Kenny Rogers got together and made a classic song, whether it was a classic pop song or a country song. Just a dynamic duo of songwriters that oftentimes in the 1980s got together and made something incredibly special. JMV, I apologize if this is already out there, but do you know what bands are going to play for Carb Day? I do. The All-American Rejects, they've been on the show out of Oklahoma. And from the state of Pennsylvania, Brett Michaels of Poison will headline. Carb Day, May the 23rd. Tickets available now. The party of the year. Our friend Clayton Anderson plays when Carb Day is finished, I think over in Speedway on the street, which is a great time. So we're going to have one hellaciously awesome Carb Day that's just going to go ahead and slide right into a fantastic weekend. And I was talking to Doug a little bit earlier, too. I apologize. I wanted to have him on, but I think he's going to have to hop a flight and go to Long Beach right now. But ticket sales are fantastic. Everything is going well. We're going to have a party. All right, quick one. We'll come back. Other side, Kevin Bowen. Why Kevin Bowen is such a huge golf fan, and if there is any truth to my rationalizing why maybe Generation Xers aren't as much. Curious. Talk to Kevin about that. Colts draft is not too far away. We'll get into that as well with Kevin coming up on the other side. Nathan Christensen, he is the director of athletics for Indiana State. They've got a big day, big week going on. We'll talk to Nathan coming up at the bottom of the hour. And Katie Baird, outside hitter, the Indy Ignite volleyball team. Big Saturday going on in Fishers. We shall explain, I should say, when Katie joins us coming up after 5. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
in the direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Shout out to Doug Bowles. Let me drive around downtown. The pace car Corvette, which is as badass to drive around as you might think it would be. And yes, I kept it between the lines, by God. I stomped on it a couple of times, and I was hoping that maybe we wouldn't get swallowed up by the canyons, also known as the roads in and around downtown. But Miller Lite Carb Day coming up on May the 23rd. Tickets available. Doug and I, we shot videos downtown and then went over further downtown to Bottle Works and gave out some Carb Day passes to folks over there too. So get your tickets. You got to make sure you party with us. There's no better party. And listen, if there's one thing that you can trust about me, it may not be a Pacers take or a Colts take or sports in general. You might think that I am just a tremendous dumbass. And honestly, you may not be completely inaccurate. However, you know this to be true. There is no greater orchestrator of a good time than me. Because you know when we're together, we're going to have a blast. It always happens. It's like radio consultants are so funny too. Radio consultants, the world of those that tell you what to do even though they can't do it, never been able to do it, and completely suck at doing it. So yeah, let me listen to you. Probably not. But in the world of good time, consultation, that would be me. That's where you need to listen. That's where I dictate the terms. Carb Day, May 23rd, Friday. All of our shows will be out there. Brett Michaels, All-American Rejects are going to have a blast. Get your tickets now. This bad boy is going to be here sooner than what you might think. Nathan Christensen is the Director of Athletics of Indiana State. A little fundraising opportunity I'm going to give my Fighting Trees a little bit of love across the board with Nathan for the first time at the bottom of the hour, and Katie Baird of the Indy Ignite. Volleyball back into action in what is going to be a tremendous Saturday at the Fishers Event Center. If you've not seen this, been a part of it, believe me, you shall want to do that coming up on Saturday. Katie Baird's brother also plays Sunday Hoop with us. That would be Dusty Baird. So we're going to make fun of him, too. Katie joins me coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Meantime, Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline, the morning show. That's with James Boyd. That's with Jeff Rickard and Kevin Bowen. Also a host of the show joins us now. Hello, Kevin. How are you?
Hello, John. Doing well. How are you?
Let me ask you this. I think that Generation X, which is my era, got a little bit left out with the deeply rooted love affair with golf. And that's because we were a little bit between eras. Don't get me wrong. There were moments. 1986 with Jack Nicklaus, that was a great moment. But we weren't really a part of the Palmer and the Nicklaus era. You know, there were great players like Tom Watson, for example. Great players like Fred Couples on a great 90s run that we're well aware of. And then, obviously, for your era, it was Tiger Woods. I'm assuming is that a reason why maybe some of us in Generation X aren't as down to sit and watch 4 rounds of golf, Masters or not, as maybe somebody like you might be because of that love affair growing up and being a part of the Tiger Woods era from start to finish?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably pretty accurate. You know, I always feel a little left out, especially when my uncle talks about boxing. Like, I always feel like my generation never got that, you know, especially from a heavyweight standpoint. It's like you hear stories from a boxing standpoint, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't really resonate with me. And I think I probably speak for a lot of people, you know, in my generation. I don't know, Mayweather, Pacquiao here or there, but that was probably it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, you laid it out. 86 Nicklaus. I mean, 97 was Woods' first major. Yeah, certainly you had Couples and Faldo and Norman and some moments in there. But, yeah, I mean, you missed out on that string. And obviously Tiger's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, and really was transcendent in the game of golf. So yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I do. I get it too. I guess I was, certainly well old enough to recognize the magnitude, but I think when you're younger, it becomes more woven into your kind of love affair, if that's a fair description to utilize here, your love affair of golf and a player like Tiger Woods, right? So to me, it was like, oh, wow, that's great. To you, it was like posters on the wall and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was 9 when he won the Masters in '97, and I mean, at that point, I didn't want anything to do with golf. I mean, I just thought it was boring and not very entertaining, all that. And not only was he dominant, but he looked and acted like no one else that was really playing. So I think the demonstrative, emotional nature, not afraid to show those emotions, again, in a sport where you usually don't get any of that, that also, I think, stood out. And then when it continues in the run in 2000, and then he completes a career Grand Slam. And, I think all of a sudden I went from, not liking the sport whatsoever to wanting to be a part of it. And, I mean, I feel like either my friends were playing it at the same age I was, or at least nowadays. I mean, I can't think of many people that don't at least play it in my age group at some level. Obviously some more than others, but yeah, without Tiger, I don't think that happens. And really tennis, my generation fell into that as well. Yeah, I don't think, maybe not the playing of tennis, but, from a Federer, Nadal, Djokovic standpoint, yeah, I mean, that's a generation that, certainly tennis, I think, is going to struggle to try and replicate here over the next, 10 to 15 years.
See, and you mentioned a couple right there, and I know you could probably go deeper with name recognition with both men and women, but Jake and I were having this conversation during our crossover, and for us, we could name in 1987 the top 10 in both men and women, and it was just different for tennis altogether. And maybe it was different because there wasn't all the options that you certainly have today that will take your attention elsewhere. Maybe that's fair to say too.
Yeah, and I think what we lack, and you guys had it a little bit more than obviously Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, but when's the last good male American tennis player?
Yeah,
you got to go back to what? I mean, Roddick, from a consistent, deep major run, and not even, I guess, that consistent. I mean, I'm talking whatever. Do you make 2 quarterfinals or 2 semifinals in a year? And it just, randomly, whatever, John Isner and Sam Querrey and lately Ben Shelton, but, you just don't have that. So as much as Nadal and Federer and Djokovic, certainly none of them are American, but they dominated, I think, the edge of your seat, paying attention to majors. We just didn't have that. I don't know, maybe Sampras and Agassi and, Connors and McEnroe, maybe, you guys felt that a little bit more.
It's Kevin Bowen, The Morning Show, along with Jeff Rickard and James Boyd. Kev's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So the Pacers, sometimes people like to say, well, this team, it's half-assed, and they're not into it. I didn't think they weren't into it last night. I just thought that, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, it was like that they had like 3 or 4 players say, hey, John, would you like to trade jumpers with me for a night? And they got mine, and then I got theirs or whatever, because what they had wasn't working last night. I thought it was more about that than it really was anything else.
Yeah, you could probably just chalk it up to an anomaly from a shooting night. I mean, it was their worst shooting night of the year if you want to look at it statistically. I did think a thing they did well is they didn't just live and die and think, hey, sooner or later we'll snap out of it. I mean, they got to the foul line, and we don't say that about the Pacers very often. And it wasn't just Mathurin. I mean, he got to the foul line, but a lot of other guys were able to get there. So I think it was a good recognition of that, of like, all right, let's attack a little bit. And then you got to call it out. I mean, the Wizards just flat out tanked within the game. I mean, it was one of the more, I'd say it's one of the more egregious in-game tankings I've seen. And I don't obviously pay attention to these bottom feeder teams unless they're playing the Pacers. But, it's one thing to sit Brogdon and Middleton and, some of those other guys. But for Jordan Poole to have 19 midway through the third quarter, you're up 14 points, and then he doesn't play a minute the rest of the night. And then I thought Alex Sarr was probably the best player on the floor, period, last night. And you've got a lead in the fourth quarter, and here's your number 2 overall pick. You'd think it'd be wonderful to give him into-the-game moments in his rookie season, and yet he doesn't return. So, yeah, I mean, definitely the Pacers didn't shoot it well, but, I mean, the Wizards just flat-out tanked within the game rather blatantly.
Kevin Bowen joins us, too. What do you think? Nationally, the Pacers, there are many now that are kind of jumping on the bandwagon of a possibility for them to make a return for the second consecutive year to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you make of this team once the postseason, regardless of who they get? It looks like it's going to be the Bucks, but regardless who they get in round number 1, what do you think about their chances to make that return to the East, as a lot of national people would suggest?
Well, I'd rather face Cleveland than Boston. So I think being on the top half, if you're projecting out to a full run back to where they were last year, I'd rather be on that top half of the bracket. I think honestly, a Milwaukee-Cleveland pairing is much more doable than a New York Boston pairing, assuming health is equal. So I do think that's a bit of an advantage. I do think it's a little different though this year in the East. I mean, this time last year, I feel like we kind of maybe don't realize the Pacers had to win game 82 to avoid the play-in last year. I mean, that's how much down to the wire it was and how just jumbled the Eastern Conference was, with Philly right there. Milwaukee was right there. New York was right there. I feel like Cleveland might have been right there as well. And it was very, very crowded. I mean, you had Boston certainly as the top-heavy team, whereas this year Cleveland ran away early. For the most part, Boston has run away with it. I think New York had a little bit of a struggle, but, they've been a team destined to win 50-plus for the better part of the season as well. So that's where I do think the Eastern Conference is a little different. And obviously, if you look at it from a personnel standpoint, Giannis is in the postseason, wasn't in it last year. Obviously the Knicks have Karl Anthony Towns. That's different than what they had last year, but I stand by. I just think the Pacers are a very tough 7-game out. I think you saw that at times in the NCAA tournament, particularly with Houston and Florida in their different ways. It was hard to just put those teams away. Houston just more off of the fight and the ferocious nature, physicality they play with. Florida more of the Walter Clayton shot making. Throughout really the second-round game against UConn, the Elite Eight game against Texas Tech, the Final Four game against Auburn. I think the Pacers have some of that. I don't know if it's crystal clear exactly what it is. Is it their depth? Is it their offensive skill? Is it, I don't know, Halliburton-Siakam combination? Is Mathurin a bit of a wild card? That aspect to it. I think they will be a team, especially if they get Milwaukee in round 1, they'll try to rely on a lot of that full court and try to test Milwaukee, which doesn't have really much from a ball handling standpoint. So I get why, people are saying that, but I also think the East is a little bit different, probably a little bit more 1-3 quality than last year. It was just Boston and kind of everybody else.
Kev, curious, I do want to make the transition into the Colts. Let's just say, for a hypothetical in our conversation here, the Colts, as they should, are drafting a tight end. Would they settle for the second best tight end in their mind? And then how aggressively would you think, if at all, they would try to move up to make sure that they get the tight end of their choice?
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to know how much separation there is between Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. I saw Vegas came out with like draft over-unders. I think they had Warren like at 9th, maybe the 9th pick. So if you base that off of what Vegas thinks, you're going to have to move up at least a couple of spots to probably try and get Warren. Loveland is interesting just because, Michigan's offense was so horrific this year. I found it interesting, the 3 games Loveland didn't play due to the shoulder. Those were Michigan's 3 worst passing games of the season. So clearly he had a ton of impact for them. And I know some people that'll say, hey, he's not really the blocker that maybe Warren is. Well, people in Loveland's camp would probably say, hey, that shoulder injury played into that. And, he'll be healthy come training camp. And he's younger than Warren. He'll still, grow a little bit. And then again, that shoulder, he'll be more of a kind of a two-way guy at the NFL level, because I think a lot of people view him as maybe the better receiver, but not necessarily the two-way, Jack Doyle type of tight end, if you will. So I'd be fascinated by that aspect to it of just how much is that separation there, and then how much do they look at just the overall class at tight end. I still think a playmaker that's dynamic in that position can help you out so much that it's worth the 14th pick. But, a lot of people feel like this is a great tight end draft class in general. So would you trade back? Would you wait till round 2? I know that might not be what a lot of people think they should do, but I still can't get away Chris Ballard's kind of MO, and when it comes to the draft, about not necessarily being a super active and trading up in his history, and a trench play 14 is probably not something to rule out.
Did you see the Gorman was talking to Bruce Arians? Did you happen to see that back and forth?
I did. Yeah. That was a great listen.
Yeah, it was good. I'd always heard that's how Bruce had felt about Anthony Richardson, and honestly, even with the quotes that he had, a quote like Anthony, I think, needed 2 more years of college as a passer. I didn't see him being able to beat anybody in a 2-minute or a third down. If you can't do that in the NFL, then you're just an average guy. I think that is like the watered down version of what he actually thought right there, but I think it tells you all you need to know about his feelings then and then now about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and I think the first part of that is certainly spot on, and I think Ballard kind of indirectly has admitted that, and whether it's Jane Daniels, whether it's C.J. Stroud, whether it's I'm trying to think of who else would fall into this boat of young quarterbacks, Bo Nix maybe, that have had all this experience in college. They come into the NFL and the learning curve is not as immense. Weirdly with Richardson, I think this is probably frustrating to the Colts. You could make the argument he's maybe been at his best in the 2-minute situations. Like when you look at the Jets or the Patriots game, fourth quarter, his team trailing, he's been at his best. I don't think he's good enough in the boring parts of the game. I think the fourth quarter, he kind of has a bit of a wake up to him, and he's helped get you back into games. I think at times, again, the Jets and the Patriots really stand out. But yeah, I would probably say he's got to be better in the boringer parts of the game and not just have 3 straight 3-and-outs in the second quarter, or you're backed up late in the first half against Houston. You can't throw that pick in that situation. Some of it is Anthony Richardson's highlight reel would stand next to anybody, but he's got to have more of a methodical, boring nature to his game. So those moments in the fourth quarter are not necessarily always in kind of comeback mode. And he hasn't played well with the lead. He hasn't played well when they're tied necessarily. He's kind of been at his best when they're behind, or again into some 2-minute situations. So I think that is what, in one way, if you want to drink the super glass half full, you say, wow, that's impressive. It shows poise, and you always are curious how college quarterbacks will play in those moments in the NFL. But if you want to drink the glass half empty, or maybe just the frustration, it's why can't he string together a little bit more consistency in the quieter moments of the game? I think that has to be very frustrating for the Colts staff.
Kev, how would you describe the transfer portal, or just the cobbling together of a roster so far in both Bloomington and West Lafayette?
Well, I mean, it's two very different situations. I mean, I guess if you're Purdue, you just need one wing, right?
Yeah.
I think, Colvin and Heidi, you probably could have lived with one of them going into the portal, but both, I think you certainly need some 6'6", 6'7" guy that can allow you to go small at times, can allow you to defend. I mean, they rode some, especially Heidi. I mean, Heidi played a lot there late in the season, and even Colvin played a good amount as well. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe Jakari Harris continues to grow, but again, he's not necessarily in that mode. So I like CJ Cox a lot, but again, he's not in that mold. Obviously, Indiana needs $1 million. I mean, they need, just quantity and quality. I'm trying to map out what their roster even looks like. I guess they have a point guard. I guess they have a big. I don't think they really have a rim protector. And then DeVries' kid certainly is a really skilled stretch 4. You probably need a little insurance with that health. I mean, he's battled multiple shoulder issues as well. So, yeah, it's got to be a busy April. And for Matt Painter, it's probably one wing and then, get back to your high school roots.
What about Jack Benter will be able to give Purdue early at all? Because I know it's going to be probably a bit to convince his coach to get those minutes, to earn those minutes. But I just kind of wonder with his success, and I know Brownstown Central and Southern Indiana and people look at it that way, but he has had an incredibly decorated career, and I think some people kind of forget that he is on the roster and able to play as a freshman coming up this year.
And he redshirted, right?
He did.
Yeah, I almost have kind of looked at Benter and thought, does he, in an ideal world for Purdue, does he just kind of slide into a little bit of a lawyer role once lawyer exits? I'm not going to pretend to know his game super well, but I feel like, again, more of the Heidi Colvin, in the college game in a pinch, can you be a small four and switch and guard and rebound? Again, both those guys and Heidi especially, I thought did it at key moments for Purdue. And really, that's the lineup that Matt went with at the start of the year.
Yeah.
I think people forget that. He kind of thought that was the way to go. So I just think having that in your back pocket a little bit more would be another wrinkle Purdue would like to go to.
All right, I need you to deliver a ruling for me. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's a ruling for a colleague of ours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the morning for you. So James Boyd, as he's mentioned before, played a couple of weeks ago, Sunday morning pickup with us at Center Grove. James Boyd was invited to return, accepted the invitation on Friday night, and sent me a text at 12:30 on Sunday morning suggesting that he was out because he needed sleep. What is the dude ruling on that? Should he easily be invited again, or is this a suspension period of time for letting us know and bailing way too late? What do you think?
Well, I got to start off by saying he was invited back. This sounds like you're like the head of Augusta National inviting
Yeah, he was
players back
invited. He was invited back. He was
for the next year. Well, I know James fairly well, and I know full well in no way, shape, or form. While some people might text at midnight saying I need sleep, meaning I'm going to be hungover tomorrow. That's not James.
Yeah.
I'm not to get too personal. I'm curious if he, had a little strange next to him and thought, breakfast in the morning would be better than a little hoop.
Yeah, it didn't. Now again, see.
Did you go there? Did you go there at all?
No,
or did you not go there?
because really, had he answered in that fashion, I probably would have easily given him a pass. But
I would hope.
He unfortunately did not answer.
Flawless life can only go so far.
You want to hear what it says? Here's the text. 12:09 a.m. Sunday. I just finished the JMV takeover, but I get like 2.5 hours of sleep, and I go home and we get up and play. Got a pass on the morning, my man. Getting in from watching this game and not feeling the best. I think I just need sleep, but have fun and we'll catch up soon. Now, if you'd have said, hey, I just hooked up with some strange and I'm not motivated to bug out as quickly as I might want to, so I'll probably have to be scratched from the basketball roster Sunday morning, I think I would get that.
Yeah, and
would
you
you
would
agree?
announce that. You would announce that as soon as you walked into the gym there. James strikes me as a dude that keeps the cards close to the vest when it comes to that aspect. So I'm going to back him on that. I'm going to say he deserves the benefit of the doubt, and he deserves an invite back, and hopefully he'll balance love and basketball a little better next time.
Yeah, we did have a legacy player, Mike Landis, who bailed 30 minutes before we played. So
now that's a hangover.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's probably a White Claw Mike Landis hangover too. It's probably what it is right there. Plus, I think he went out, and he's going to hate me for this. I think he went out and played in a league later on that day, and Andre Owens worked his ass over. So I don't think that helped either.
Now, James him and I did chat. He was super complimentary of, how the pickup went with you guys the first time. So
yeah, no, they're good dudes.
it.
They are good dudes that play at a really good pace. And the one thing you get worried about is not getting injured. Nobody's going to injure you out there because It's just people know how to play. That's the way to do it right there. So I'm just kind of curious what your ruling might be. So you would give him a pass and invite him next time again?
Pass, benefit of the doubt,
All right.
and maybe a little wink and say, good work last week.
And say, all you got to do is, tell me. Give us a little bit of story that I can share with the fellas. How about doing that? All right. All right, tomorrow morning, 7 until 10 a.m., and he's going to be a bit distracted, I'm sure, because Augusta National is going to fire up with the first round of the Masters. It is Kevin Bowen, the morning show, along with Jeff Rickard and James Boyd. Kev's with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And enjoy the golf tournament, man. We'll talk again next week.
Thank you, John. Will do.
Kevin Bowen on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Nathan Christensen, Director of Athletics for Indiana State University. Sycamores, are we ready to hand out a little bit of love right here? I shall believe so. There's some big stuff going on there, and I felt it necessary for me to get the Director of Athletics on and explain in its entirety. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
This is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, so you've got Carb Day 2025, May the 23rd. Doug Bowles and I, Speedway Press. IndyCar Press. He allowed me to drive the pace car Corvette around downtown today. We went to Bottle Works, shot some videos, gave away some passes. You have to be a part of that. Listen, we all do our shows over there. It is normally the wildest ass day of my show on the calendar year. It is a blast. We will all be out there. Make sure you are with us. And Doug was telling me a little bit earlier that ticket sales with both Carb Day and Race Day are incredible. So I think that means we are all mandatory to get together and have one outrageously awesome time. All-American Rejects, Brett Michaels, Carb Day 2025. Get your tickets and get them now. And we'll play that video for you as well. By the way, he had mentioned maybe for the weekend with the vet for the JMV takeover right here, and I am all in. I'm going to tell you, like a year ago, me could not get my big ass down in that thing. But now I'm just sliding right in, fitting like a glove. Video's going to be fun, though. Thanks to Doug and thanks to our digital department for putting it all together earlier today, and everybody we met over at Bottle Works. It was a fantastic time. Katie Baird, brand new, if you will, to the Indy Ignite, former Perry Meridian and Stanford outside hitting standout. Katie's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Indy Ignite have a big Saturday night. And we'll explain that at the Fishers Event Center. You got to make that as well. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, I feel bad because he's never been on the show. The director of athletics for my alma mater. And all that he needs is me to throw one final rager at Ethan Crawford over there to help the biggest day of the year for our Indiana State University. Give to Blue Day is going on, and their director of athletics is Nathan Christensen, who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Nathan, my bad for not having you on before, man. Welcome to the show in Indy. How are you?
Awesome. No, things are great, and really appreciate you having me on. And it's awesome that you're a proud Indiana State alum. I've heard nothing but great things about you, and obviously some of the relationships you have. Even with some former coaches around here. So really excited to be on your show, and thanks for helping us promote Give to Blue Day.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love my time there. I would do it all over again if I was asked to in a second. And there was just so much great about Indiana State. And now, like a day like today, tell the folks out there how important this is in terms of where we are with athletics in this era.
Yeah, for us, Give It to Blue Day is one of the most important days, not only for the institution, but certainly athletics, because to your point, in this day of NIL and revenue share and with this house settlement, it's all about revenues. If you want your athletic departments to be successful, it comes down to money. And for us to be able to provide our programs and our student athletes the resources, at the end of the day, if you want the Sycamores to make those special runs like they have had in the past, it's going to come down to dollars to be able to support them.
How is NIL doing over there? Since certainly you have taken over, and obviously this has been prioritized because this has been an ever-evolving situation for everybody, including you guys, but how is it going so far, and what type of inroads are you making with it?
Yeah, for us, since day one, the Crossroads of Champions, which is our collective NIL platform, that was established before I got here. And for me, we need to make sure that we're singing from the same hymnal in terms of the way that we work together on this. And we've been able to grow it quite a bit compared to where we're at last year in terms of where the dollars that we had versus this year. It's going to be 3 times as much as we had compared to this past year's men's basketball. So obviously that's going to be our primary focus is from the NIL standpoint. It's really men's basketball and baseball just because of the success they've had. But for us in this new era, it's a major focus of ours in terms of the conversations we have with our donors and alums and fans that we need your support, not only supporting our operating budgets, but in terms of getting great talent. It comes down to those resources. So we actually had a meeting last night with our board, with the Crossroads champions, and for us, all that matters.
Yeah, it does. Nathan Christensen is the director of athletics at Indiana State, and a big day for them we'll further get into over in Terre Haute going on today. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned this being ever-evolving, yet I don't really have a great description about how that happens, how that occurs. And really, it kind of seems like to me, I at least view it from the outside looking in, Nathan, it's like an everyday thing. It's an every week thing. It's every month thing. How is this whole NIL and the financial situation, especially as it equates to athletics, evolving over in Terre Haute for you guys? Because it seems like it's just constant.
It is constant. Every day it's a new adventure. I think this week alone I've probably visited with 4 or 5 different athletic directors across the country from different leagues, just understanding how they're operating with things that they're trying to get some bits and pieces of nuggets that we think that might work here at Indiana State. But I would say the one thing that we have going for us here, we're not chasing something or we're not. We know who we are. We can be a great high-level mid-major, and obviously basketball is really important to the state of Indiana, and it's really important to Indiana State. And we want, at the end of the day, we want to be able to produce great men and women to be productive citizens in our world. And we can provide those resources and the high-level education in Indiana State. But for us, we also got to be able to navigate these waters, and we want to be competitive. I want to win as many games as possible. So for us, just be able to navigate, all right, we need to give the Blue Day to be successful. We need to work really closely with our foundation in terms of what they're trying to accomplish, but also from an enrollment standpoint with the institution, and obviously from an NIL, we need that to be very successful. So really for us is we need all these buckets to continue to rise. And we can't put too much focus on one or the other. We just got to really focus on it all.
Nathan, you have not been on the job, I don't believe yet, for a full calendar year. Has this whole thing lived up to the expectations? Compare it to what you thought and what you're going through right now and what this, we're almost getting now to that first year, but what this first year has been about for you.
Yeah, I think first and foremost for me, it's all about the relationships. I think for us, the type of school that Indiana State is, and high level mid major, it's going to take all of us to elevate Sycamore athletics. So for me, since day one, it's been about the relationships, and it's been awesome. Our President Goddard, he started June 1, I started July 1. He gets it. He really appreciates athletics, and he understands the value that athletics can provide to an institution. And we need his support more than anybody, right, in terms of if we want to be successful, and he values that piece. But it has exceeded my expectation. Terre Haute is an awesome city. There's a lot of culture here. Being close to Indianapolis is a plus, right, in terms of the things that's going on up there, but also our donor base. We have the most donors up there compared to outside of Terre Haute. So I'm up there quite a bit, and just me getting out in the community, working with the mayor of Terre Haute, working with our community leaders to really grow not only Indiana State but Terre Haute. It's been a great start, and I've really ingrained myself intentionally within the community because it's not about Indiana State athletics. It's about all of us.
I think there was once upon a time a day when the athletic director would worry about who the coach was going to be, would worry about who the officials were going to be and if they were going to get here on time, and would schedule buses and stuff like that. So that has also been an ever-evolving position, has it not, in athletics? Everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't know the last time I scheduled, besides minus scheduling a football game, I haven't scheduled anything, any sporting event. Right. Coaches do that now. For me, it's honestly – it's really political in terms of these roles and working with different entities on campus, internal, external. But it's ever changing, and I think I've got to know Indiana's AD really well, and we've talked quite a bit about what's going on in this industry, especially within the state of Indiana. And it's very complex. but I love it. There's a lot of great people, and we're not curing cancer. We got to be a part of athletics. Let's make sure our student athletes have something that they can be excited about, making sure our communities have something to be excited about. And days like today with Give to Blue, that's what it's. We're just trying to celebrate our great institution and the ways to support it.
No, it's no doubt about that. That's about as well said as ever. How can those out there that are listening, whether or not you've grown up or you're an alumni of Indiana State University, how can people get involved?
Yeah, for us, I mean, honestly, today it's just go to giveToBlue.indianastate.edu. It's pretty simple and give. Right now, athletics, the university is actually close to raising $1 million. They're at $958,000 right now, and athletics is at $241,000, which is the most of any department or entity on campus. So for us, that's the easiest way today to support it. We're actually 6 donors away. We need 6 more donors to give to baseball, and we unlock a $7,500 gift. And $7,500 for our baseball program. That's a team. That's feeding 2 meals potentially for the team. So every bit matters. Every person matters. We just want people to be proud and wave the Sycamore flag.
All right, how my fellas doing over there? How's the Graves and Mallory combination? How are things going?
I talk to those two all quite often. Obviously, within the whole transfer portal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we're really excited about this upcoming year. Just putting those programs in a position to be successful. And obviously even though it wasn't as special as last year for men's basketball, the Holman Center was rocking this past year. We finished 3rd in the conference in attendance, and it's a beautiful place to watch a basketball game.
Yeah, when was the last time that they finished 3rd in the conference in attendance? I was kind of curious about that because certainly I thought the year prior helped set that particular stage, but I think it had been a while, had it not?
It had been a while. I think we look back, it was almost 2011 maybe, the year they went to, with the Jake Odom era. So it had been a while, but it's we're continuing to build up with what we can do with this program. And that's one thing that I wanted to come to a place where there was a ton of opportunities. I don't want to be a caretaker. And I feel that there's so much opportunities here in Indiana State to really grow this program and grow our fan base.
Well, I'm glad that you and the Prez on the same page, because let me tell you this, as somebody that has watched some stuff occur, not there, but just in general terms in college athletics, if Prez and athletics not on the same page, then you're host. So I'm glad that is the case over there and you're really comfortable in that.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir. And anytime, I'd love to get on your show, and if you ever need Matthew or Kurt, holler anytime.
Sure.
We really appreciate your support. And
who do we know? Who do we know as former coaches? Who we have related friends?
Greg Lansing. Greg Lansing.
I know him a little bit. Yeah, just a tad.
Yeah.
Oh, just one of the greatest guys ever, to be honest, right there. So great guy. Actually, I have so much love for that place and anybody that has coached there, anybody that coaches there. Yourself as well being a part of that, because I know trying to get the word out, because it's endless. It is endless, but it's a labor of love. When they say that, I think they're actually talking about those of us that have this deeply rooted love for Indiana State University, because that's exactly what it is.
Absolutely. And anytime you want to come to a basketball game, we'll have a spot for you.
Well, I'm going to get my guys together. I'm going to get Graves to let us do a little pickup on the Holman Center surface.
That'd be awesome.
So, yeah,
that'd be great.
Get that going.
Anytime.
Hey, Nathan, you stay in touch here, man. Anytime you want to come on, we'll love to have you.
Appreciate it, sir.
This is Nathan Christensen on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, the Director of Athletics for Indiana State University. And, this reminder again, this is their big day. Give to Blue. It's giveToBlue.indianastate.edu. It is their big day, to say the least. Good to have him on. Greg Lansing. I'll tell you what, Greg Lansing may be, besides Chad Buchanan, I think both are on the same plane here, the biggest fans of Darren DeVries, the new IU head coach, as anybody out there. Endlessly talk about his greatness. Quick break. We'll come back. Katie Baird, Indy Ignite, big Saturday night in Fishers coming up. The former Perry Meridian outside hitting standout, collegiately played at such a high level at Stanford. Katie's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. Blank 182 tickets as well. Hey, sit tight. Coming back with you on the other side. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
.93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Indy Ignite on Saturday. That's a big Saturday for them, too, by the way, at the Fishers Event Center. Katie Baird, outside hitter, just recently joined the team. She's going to join us coming up at the top of the hour. What is this, the second? Kylie Muir joined us going back maybe a month or so ago, if you remember that, from Yorktown, Indiana. Katie is from the South Side, Perry Meridian High School, and a former Stanford Cardinal is going to join us, too. So, 7 o'clock, Fishers Event Center. There is a pre-match party that you will not want to miss. You know, the one thing, too, so many of these ladies, I think most of which end up playing, to make money professionally overseas. Katie spent recently a great deal of time in Turkey. So Saturday at the Fishers Event Center is one of the Ignite's final 5 home matches left in that first season. Get your tickets and hang out, and we'll talk to Katie Baird coming up here at the top of the hour. Nathan Christensen, the Director of Athletics for Indiana State University. Give to Blue 25 is officially underway. It was great to hear from Nathan for the first time on this show, too. John Easter writes this: give James Boyd a pass, best dude ever. Tim Martin says, did Kevin Bowen say getting some strange? He did. Tyler Freeman checks in. Do the Bucks scare you as a first-round matchup? I don't know about scaring, but Giannis is a big damn deal. And obviously, I don't have, without Lillard and Middleton, and I don't have the confidence that I nearly would have in that. I mean, normally you would go with the Pistons, right, in round number 1 because they haven't been there collectively before. They have a couple of players. Tobias Harris is a part of it. Hardaway Jr. has been to the postseason before a number of times. Malik Beasley. But for the young core of that team, this is new. For them collectively, this is new. But I just think with no Lillard and no Middleton any longer, I think that's a different dynamic. Even if Giannis is playing as he had a triple-double last night in a win over Minnesota at such a high level. Hey, JMV, I feel like the Pacers are full of dudes you see on championship-winning teams. Your champ always has 1 or 2 studs that give their team the upper hand going into the postseason. We usually see those guys leaving the following years and getting paid too. Well, listen, DJ, we've talked about this before. They're going to have to handle some financial situations coming up in the offseason. Now, they're going to wait until the offseason, I'm sure, to effectively make those decisions, and right at the top of the list is number 33. And then how you can make sure he remains a part of the equation while also hoping you don't tamper with a lot of the roster and those important pieces. I'll give you a great example, and this is a team that won a title. It's one of the reasons why you saw Calvin Booth and then ultimately Michael Malone lose their job with Denver yesterday. The dynamic of that team, and not with Jokic, and certainly Murray's been injured, and they still have Gordon, and they still have Porter Jr., but they lost bits and pieces that were really important to them winning at a much higher level. Again, you look at the Pacers, and we've seen it especially here since the All-Star break, the level of importance for Obi Toppin. You wonder, not last night because of the lack of playing time, but you wonder if Jarris Walker is on the verge. So you don't want to have to compromise those true pieces that are meaningful for your team when you're trying to slap back in Miles Turner coming up in the offseason. That could be the case. DJ, thank you very much. Yeah, it was great. Doug Bowles and I driving around the Corvette today. We go over to Bottle Works and hand out Carb Day tickets. Miller Lite Carb Day. It's on your agenda May the 23rd. Get your tickets now. Be a part of it. Joining us. It is going to get here quicker than what you think. I guarantee it. All right, quick break. We shall come back. I mentioned the Indy Ignite's got a big Saturday going on at the Fishers Event Center, and brand new to the squad, really a couple of weeks old now. Katie Baird, outside hitter, formerly of Parameridian and collegiately of Stanford. Katie's going to join us coming up on the other side, and we'll talk about what is going to be a tremendous Saturday at the Fishers Event Center. That and Blink 182 tickets at some point before the end of the show. Do not go anywhere. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
together.
Forget it. No way.
We're on a mission from God.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right. So Brian Knows got you tomorrow. Rakestraw's got you on Friday. I've got you on the JMV Takeover on Saturday. And Doug Bowles told me today that we might have a Saturday live show or two in May. I think he had asked me, is there a place we can go and have our live Saturday show the night before the 500 in the infield where I think people were worried about, I was worried about disturbing the driver's sleep. Somebody had mentioned, well, what about, because they're allowing camping in there this year. What about, I'm not worried about the campers. I mean, hell, we'll just all stay up together. It's only until midnight. I mean, who's going to be out there? Who's going to be asleep at midnight out there camping in the infield? Like nobody. But I believe a live show, that's going to be weird too, because I don't know exactly how we're going to handle it. I don't know if it'll be the same as the whole Mystic Waters thing that we do every Labor Day with Brent Halverson up in Pendleton, which is awesome. But that's what I hear is on the horizon. I can tell you this, we are going to have an absolute blast of a month of May. Carb Day brought to you by Miller Lite. Again, Brett Michaels, All-American Rejects there on the 23rd. And we'll slide right on through until race day, all weekend long out at IMS. And that video, as soon as our digital staff puts it together, we shot that today. You will love it, I promise. Went around to Bottle Works today, handed out free passes to Carb Day. And thanks to Doug Bowles for letting me drive around downtown the Pace Car Corvette because, yes, it is as badass as it looks. Let me tell you. But Brian Noe tomorrow, Greg Rakestraw on Friday, JMV Takeover, B1057 for me on Saturday night, 6 until midnight. And then I'm back with you coming up next week with a couple of opportunities for you to join me live that I shall explain coming up. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, you now know her as a part of the Indy Ignite. Saturday's a big day and a big night at the Fishers Event Center. We'll get into that in a moment. Formerly of Perry Meridian High School, a former Stanford Cardinal outside hitter, and I don't know if she wants to be recognized as such, but the sister of Dusty Baird, it is one Katie Baird who joins us now. Katie, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get this out of the way. Does your brother come home and tell you stories about our Sunday morning pickup basketball?
Oh, yeah. He'll tell me how it goes, how he shot, how everything went, if he won or not. So I get the whole rundown.
Well, you do know that normally his shot doesn't go in very often. But I'm sure you've seen that before, right?
Yeah, he's a pick and roll guy, you know?
Yeah, he is that. Well, I mean, he's also 6'8". For those that don't know, he's a tremendous athlete, just like you are. 6'8". When he played collegiately, baseball wise at Brown, he's still a pitcher today. He's a fantastic athlete. So you guys, that's quite an athletic family you guys have.
Oh, yeah. And then you have my sister, too, who played volleyball in college and overseas for 4 years, is now coaching at Eastern Kentucky. Like, we live and breathe sports over here in the Baird household.
There's no doubt about that. Katie Baird's now with the Indy Ignite. They get the Grand Rapids Rise coming up on Saturday. 7 o'clock is when they get things underway. A pre-game, or pre-match, I should say, party happens prior to that. I'll tell you about that in just a second, but I want to hear about your path because it was funny. We were playing a couple of weeks ago or so, and Dusty had mentioned to us that you were coming back from Turkey. You were playing in Turkey, and you were going to play with the Indy Ignite. How did all that evolve, and how quickly did it occur?
Oh, it happened pretty quick. It was a quick turnaround. I think it was probably about a week because they reached out to me, I think, the Sunday before my last game. We had one more game on Wednesday. And they're like, hey, would you be open to it? I know it depends on if you make playoffs or not, how you're feeling, like if your body's holding up. And I was like, I'm for it. I want to play in my hometown again and in front of family and friends. It's been something I've been missing. So I was excited to have the opportunity and get this experience.
So do I even want to begin the differences between playing in Istanbul, Turkey professionally and with the Indy Ignite here professionally?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is there's a different ball. PVF has like the Franklin ball, and then overseas it's Mikasa. It's blue and yellow. So definitely the flight pattern of the ball when it's coming at you and serve receive is a little different. But in both leagues, girls are making plays. They're athletic. They're strong. I think the only big difference is that in the Turkish league, there's an Olympian like every game that you're competing against from a different country, which is pretty cool and unique.
Yeah. Now, how many American teammates did you have in Turkey?
I had one, Lexi Almodovar from Dayton. She was halfway through, so she came after she graduated and finished her season.
So, culturally speaking, is there any difficulty there, or did you acclimate pretty quickly for the long haul as a professional in Turkey?
Oh, it was definitely a little bit of a culture shock at first, but got my feet on the ground and it was fine. But definitely a few things here and there. But luckily, Istanbul is like a touristy spot, so a good amount of people did also speak English, and if they didn't, they knew someone or grabbed someone to help out. So they're very accommodating with that, too.
Yeah, it's Katie Baird joins us from Perry Meridian to Stanford to now the Indy Ignite. 7 o'clock coming up at the Fishers Event Center on Saturday. It is going to be a big day, really, going into the evening, and we'll have her tell us about the team because she's new to it in just a second. But I want to put a little bow on the time you spent in Turkey. Is this a situation where you will go back? Because I know these are from playing here in your hometown to making money playing professionally overseas. You still have opportunities. Is that something you've now put in the rear view, or is that still an option maybe further down the road?
Oh, it's definitely still an option. I'm young and I want to explore and see different parts of the world and stuff, so I'm not turning that page yet and saying, no, I'm done with it. But it's always nice to have the leagues here at home so we can play and, play in Indiana again and play in front of my family and friends. So it's been awesome to have this opportunity and the ability to come back and play as well.
What are the differences in the crowds that you would get in Turkey compared to what your expectation is in Fishers coming up on Saturday? For example, I think you were in Columbus this past weekend. I think that's what Dusty said, right?
Yes, yeah. We were in Columbus this past weekend. Crowd-wise, it's a little different. I mean, in Turkey, they had some noisemakers and horns and stuff that they were using, which I'm not sure if those are permitted at the games here and there. But I'd say there's been good turnouts here so far for, my first two matches, and I'm excited to see the turnout for this one coming up on Saturday.
How do you?
Big crowd.
Yeah, how have you acclimated with your new team and your teammates? Because again, this is something that evolved on the fly. All of a sudden, you're back and you're playing a significant role. How big of a transition and easy or lack thereof has that been for you playing the game that you love?
Oh, it definitely came with some difficulties at first, trying to get adjusted to the setter and the tempo and all that. But repping it out every day, getting in practice, it came more naturally than I expected, and we're doing well. So it's been fun to kind of compete with the girls and get after it in practice.
Who's the best athlete in your household? Hey, by the way, I just got a text from your brother. You're putting my jumper on blast. I got to get to the gym more. I am putting his jumper on blast right here. I am.
Yeah, you got to get in the gym. Everyone knows that.
Who's the best athlete in your household?
I feel like I got to go with that's a tough one.
You can go with yourself. That's okay.
We're all great athletes. I mean, we get it from our parents. Of the kids, I kind of want to say myself, but
yeah, I think so. That's okay.
I'm also a good pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's a good pitcher and all. So
yeah.
At least that's what we hear.
Yeah. We all got after it.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm telling you, in Perry Meridian and Stanford, and Stanford-wise, and I guess I'm not that bright in terms of the great volleyball schools collegiately, but where is Stanford, and how was that experience in Palo Alto for you?
Yeah, Stanford was awesome. It was an incredible opportunity to be able to go out there on the West Coast, play volleyball, get a great education at the same time, and compete at the level I did. I'm so thankful I had that opportunity because I didn't think I was going to go that far from home for college, and lo and behold, I went 34 hours drive away. So it was awesome.
Now, it's funny. I don't know this to be true, but it kind of seems like to me that once you go there, you end up residing after school somewhere in that area? I know you wanted to play, so maybe that wasn't going to be professionally an option, but was that a thought for you? Is that an area where you would like to call home one of these days, or was it just a stop on your radar for school?
I mean, I'm open to anywhere right now. I don't have necessarily roots set anywhere. I mean, India is home, so I'm never going to say no to coming back here. But I definitely get the appeal of Northern California and the West Coast for sure. So could be a little stop there one day, but right now I'm good being close to home and seeing what's there.
Yes, Katie Bear joins us again, outside hitter for the Indy Ignite, 7 o'clock, Fishers Event Center. Katie and her teammates will line it up versus Grand Rapids. Have you been to the Parks Place pub yet with your teammates?
We actually did. We had a little team bonding activity, did paint and sip and all that, and that was super fun. I'm not very artistically inclined, but we made a pretty picture.
Well, I know that Matt Sleater, is a big-time backer of the Indy Ignite, who is also a co-owner of Parks Place Pub, and I have heard that is a hangout for the Indy Ignite. I believe that it is, right? Is that your first time there?
Yeah, it was my first time there. They're doing a great job building up Fishers, and Parks Club Place is an awesome place to go and hang out, and there's good food, good people, good atmosphere.
Yeah, and Sleater better be paying for it all, too. Did he pay for everything, for everybody?
I cannot confirm or deny.
No, okay.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's even allowed for me to say, but I feel I know him well enough. I feel compelled to ask whether or not that he picked up the tab. And if he didn't, then I think we got to put him on blast as well as your brother's jump shot, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Seems fair.
Yeah, we got to do that. Katie Baird is with us. All right, how's the squad looking right now? Going into Grand Rapids, coming up on Saturday night, Fishers Event Center. Your short time being a part of it, you're acclimating to it. How are you guys looking presently?
I think we're looking good. We're fixing things here and there, trying to get 1% better every day in the gym, work on those connections, our communication, make some different plays here and there. But we're putting it all together, and we're excited for this weekend and the rest of the season. So just want to put on a show for our next 5 home matches that we got coming up.
What are the practices like in preparation or just in what you do, mechanically speaking, in preparation for matches? What do you do routinely to prepare?
Yeah, we break down. So we'll do skills based for the first little bit of practice. We'll work on passing, the middles go work on their thing, and the setters getting some reps. And then from there, we'll usually go into defensive stuff, and we'll also work on blocking and make schemes that we're working on, and try to kind of get ready for what match we have coming up, and kind of just picture what their hitters are going to do for us, and then we'll do some serving and get into some 6-on-6 at the end.
Now I know you played basketball at Perry too, did you not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Played some basketball.
Would pickup volleyball matches compared to pickup basketball games? Is there any comparison to be made there?
Oh yeah, there's some pickup. I mean, there's co-ed leagues and stuff like that, and definitely people getting together and just hitting the ball, having some fun, peppering. How
fast do you hit it, or how hard do you hit it?
Oh, I have no clue. In Turkey, they had at one of the gyms, they had a little radar, and there were girls hitting their top spin serve at 99 kilometers per hour or whatever. So it can hit it pretty hard at us at times.
What was yours?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I don't even remember what mine was, but I remember seeing those 90s up in there when that was their serve.
So, again, I want you to hang around here as long as you can, obviously. That's cool, and I want to see you guys have success. But I often want to ask this. I think that one of the greatest careers would be 2-person beach volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
Has that ever occurred to you at all, to play beach volleyball as a career, or maybe further down the road, I guess, as a career?
Oh, yeah. I've thought about it at times. My sister and I even joked about it. When I was growing up, we would be a great pair to have on the beach, but played a little bit here and there in Indy when they had stuff in the summer. So I have a little bit of experience. I definitely think that could be something after my indoor career kind of comes to a close, if I want to keep going, maybe pick up some beach.
Has anybody ever asked you to do that before? Have you ever had maybe a former teammate, a former colleague of yours that's a volleyball player that wanted to do that, say, hey, how about you and I team up and see what we can do here professionally?
Nothing professionally, probably because I haven't played any like college or pro experience, but definitely growing up, there were people like, hey, like I'd love to like be a partner with you and all that. So hopefully they think of me at some point after my career here in indoor.
Yeah, it's Katie Bear with us again, the Indy Ignite. It is Firestorm Appreciation Night coming up at the Fishers Event Center on Saturday. So I get a lot of my volleyball knowledge. I've said this before, and you can ask Kylie this. I've told Kylie's been on the show before. My knowledge comes from the 1990 classic Side Out, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that movie with C. Thomas Howell. It's fairly ridiculous, but it's so ridiculous it's incredibly entertaining as well. And they're constantly giving signals to stay on the same page to one another, like numbers, shouting out numbers and stuff. What is that about? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, for sure. We'll call out like where the middle's what the middle's running or what the outside's running, if the setter's up and down, and then there's a lot of calls being made and just a lot of talk and communication on what's coming our way.
Really? Okay. Would you talk more in a basketball game defensively or more on the volleyball court during a match? Where's more of the dialogue happening?
That's tough. I mean, in both spots, you got to be talking and communicating what you're seeing. But I don't know. Maybe basketball, just because once you're in volleyball, it's so fast paced and it's always like a constant change of offense to defense and all that. But when you're in the defensive stance for basketball, it's a lot of like help side, talking and all that. So a lot of chatter.
Have you ever what's the how do I put this? Have you ever taken one a hard hit to the head or anything? I mean, what's the worst hit you've ever had? Out
in
there?
volleyball,
yeah, like trying to make a block or something, right? And it gets you where, unfortunately, it may get you in the head. Right? Do you remember the time it was at its worst?
Oh, I mean, probably more recently, just practicing in Turkey, got hit with the ball a couple times, but luckily nothing bad. Just kind of went off high off my head, but got it in a good spot, so it no bad injury or anything from that. But yeah, blocking, people get up there and they're hitting sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it too. I was actually up there for the first match, and I was watching everybody warm up, and there is very little, and I mean very little, reaction time anywhere out there, which it makes it an amazing watch. It really is. Oh, yeah. Super entertaining. It's so many girls that are like athletic, strong, powerful. So it's super fun to compete and play against those girls. All right, Katie, in closing here, I mentioned the film Side Out, so I'm assuming by your lackluster acknowledgement of that, you've never seen it, correct? It's really old. Like, I'm really old. It's really old, too. So, never seen it? No, I don't think I have. So I'll definitely go get the thought now. All right. Well, I mean, listen, it's so bad it's good. I don't know what type of films that you like that you believe would be so bad that it's good. That would be one of it. And that's like right in your wheelhouse, although it is beach volleyball. So, I mean, it is. All right, here, I'll give you a great one because he just passed away last week. Val Kilmer passed away last week, the actor from Top Gun. If you remember the volleyball scene in Top Gun, it is about as it's like taking that scene and making an entire 90-minute long film out of it. That's how ridiculous that it is. So does that make better sense to you? Oh, yeah, that sounds great. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah, I can't wait. Family night at the Bairds. Let's watch Side Out. That's going to be great. Yep. All right, we got to get everybody out there coming up on Saturday. They got to get out there, watch you and your teammates play against Grand Rapids. Now, what match is this going to be for you with the Indy Ignite? This will be my third match total, but my first one at home. So everyone better go to IndyIgniteVolleyball.com and get their tickets for this Saturday. They're selling out fast. We'll do that. We'll direct people there. Hey, very happy for you, too. I mean, as you can probably tell, I am, as we are, big fans of your brother. We like to hit him in the chops a little bit, but he set some really bad bony elbow screens, which I don't like, but otherwise he's a really good dude. So.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
Yeah. Anyway, Katie, welcome back to the States, to the Indy Ignite and Firestorm Appreciation Night. That is coming up on Saturday, 7 o'clock at the Fishers Event Center. We will send everybody out there. And please stay in touch because we love talking to you guys. It's just an absolutely fun event to be a part of. If you've not been a part of it up there, I'd invite everybody out on Saturday because it'll be an absolute blast. But congratulations on getting back here, and have a great remainder of the season.
Thank you. Working hard. Hopefully making it to the championship in Vegas.
Tell the family we said hello too, okay, Katie?
Of course, we'll do.
Yeah, Katie Baird right there on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I think, did I do that right? It's like if you were to take the volleyball scene from Top Gun and make a close to 90-minute film out of it, that's Side Out. And all that's missing would be like, playing in jeans. It is pretty ridiculous. But, again, that's what helps make it so entertaining. Right? I mean, really, when you think about Top Gun, was it really necessary for that scene to be in there? But can you try to picture one of the best films from the 1980s without the two-man beach volleyball scene in it? No, you can't. Yeah, he does, man. Darmelio just mentioned this. My good friend John Darmelio, Dusty Baird set some bony-ass screens. All right, he's 6'8", too, man. His neck is not good. Come on, man. Actually, good family right there, in case you could not tell. Now, Katie Baird, Indy Ignite, Saturday, 7 o'clock. Again, they've got a pre-match party going on. It's an event, so go up and check it out. Tell them I sent you too. Quick break, we'll come back. Final little 30-plus with us. Can't wait to talk with you too. And out the door Thursday and Friday, which I shall explain coming up as well. Blink 182 is coming September to the Ruoff Music Center. Got tickets for that. James, I think Disturbed, we gave away tickets for Disturbed. That's tonight, right?
I believe so.
Who's Disturbed? Who's with them? Do we know?
I am not sure off the top of my head.
How big is Disturbed? They're pretty big, aren't they? That's at Cambridge, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're one of the more kind of mainstream metal bands, I would say.
Mainstream metal. They're comparable to what band?
The biggest comparison I can think of, maybe not in terms of size and scope, but in terms of mainstream recognition, maybe even Metallica.
Oh, really? That's...
I mean, in terms
some
of
big shoes.
In terms of hearing them on the radio, I mean, I've heard them on the radio all the time. People still play Indestructible, that sort of thing. So.
What is the sickness? Were they down with it?
They were down with the sickness.
What is the sickness that they were speaking of? Do we know what that song?
No idea.
I'm down with the sickness. What was that about?
Not really sure.
Nobody's ever figured out what sickness they were down with?
I'm sure somebody's figured it out. I've just never bothered to look it up.
Who's with them tonight? The supporting artist. Do we have anything tonight at Cambridge Fieldhouse?
It is not popping up for me right now.
So let me tell you. So we go, I'm trying to think of what was the last couple of shows at the Fieldhouse. You go Deftones. You had Brooks and Dunn last week, if you remember, the country show. Shane Gillis, the comedian, was there. Hey, by the way, too, if anybody attended Shane, I can't remember if we gave away Shane Gillis tickets or not. We may have.
I think we did.
I got like a mixed review from that, and here's why. And not because he's not hilarious, but because maybe the arena is just kind of too big.
Where was he at?
Comedically speaking, he was out there for 45 minutes. He was at Cambridge Fieldhouse.
Really?
Last Saturday night.
I feel like those huge venues are a little bit odd. I mean, Frank was talking about it when we had him in studio, where you have to wait for the laughs to come back to you. So I'm sure the energy is different. By the way, Disturbed is with Daughtry and Nothing More.
Daughtry?
Yeah.
Daughtry.
Yeah. That was my reaction right there. Kind of
Chris,
an odd,
that's Chris Daughtry,
Chris Daughtry,
right?
Yeah.
Did he not? What band was he a part of for a minute?
I know he was on American Idol.
What's the band that from the late 90s that does Shimmer And Hemorrhage in My Hand. Who's that?
Oh, who was he with?
That's a great title to say. Hey, what are we going to come up with a title of this song? How about Hemorrhage in My Hand? What?
I think it
Good
says
idea.
here he just
I thought he was
a
lead singer of a band for 1 minute. An established band that needed a lead singer. Maybe
Are you
I'm
thinking
wrong.
of James Durbin? The guy, because James Durbin was on
Fuel.
Idol too.
It's Fuel.
Oh, okay.
Was he not a member of Fuel, the lead, for like a second?
I'm looking through his Wikipedia right now, and I don't see it, but let me see.
Fuel is it.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
I'm right on top of everything right here. Hemorrhage in My Hand. Like, I can think of like a zillion better titles.
So here's what it was. He performed Hemorrhage in My Hands on American Idol. He then, or I guess whatever Randy Jackson, I guess, said in an interview that Daughtry had been offered the opportunity to become Fuel's new lead singer, but I think Daughtry said he declined it.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he was for a minute. I will say this, Hemorrhage in My Hand is a good song. It's just got a really odd title.
It is an odd title, isn't it?
Between that and Down with the Sickness. Well, I'm assuming he'll do Hemorrhage in My Hand tonight. Is he allowed to do a Fuel song? Maybe. I guess there's a cover,
I'm
right?
sure there's no legal reason he can't.
Yep.
Maybe that was the sickness.
That was the sickness right there.
Yeah.
Okay, come back with Hemorrhage in My Hand. Let's let everybody hear that right there. All right, quick break. We'll come back, even though Fuel's not playing this evening. So Daughtry is one of the supporting acts for Disturbed at Gainbridge Fieldhouse later on tonight. Blink 182 is going to be at Ruoff. We've got tickets for you before the end of this show. Hey, sit tight. We'll come back with you and your calls at 239-1070 inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This is Fuel. I think this is a hell of a song. I've liked it. What is this, 2000, I believe, James, right here? The year 2000?
2000.
God, I'm good at this. You know what? Can you imagine trying to do trivia with entertainment and music against me? I would kick your ass. Here, turn this up. This is the part I like right here.
I just recognized this song.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is where they start rocking right here, James. Ah! Ah! They start rocking.
That is kind of a very common early 2000s rock voice,
well, it
isn't
reminds me, there's an episode of Beavis and Butthead when they're watching Radiohead and Creep. And they're going, hey, what is this? I don't know. Then all of a sudden it starts rocking. I'm so blank and, and then they start rocking. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what this reminds me of. All of a sudden it starts rocking.
Let's start soft and then get heavy as the song goes on.
Yeah, well, and then it gets a little bit more, it's kind of all over the map. It's a little awkward. So I would call it unique. Joseph Fenton Faust says, wow, the side-out reference to Katie Baird was a blast from the past, brother. Well done. I will watch that. And I don't know if it has any redeeming quality for anybody that's ever been a parent or a player. So a parent of a volleyball player or a player themselves. I don't know if there's any redeeming quality. They do have some of the big names, like my era of men's volleyball. Remember St. John Smith and Steve Timmons. We all kind of wanted that flat top that Steve Timmons had. I think the 84 Olympic team. These guys were in it. I don't know how much. I don't know how much dialogue, if they had any lines whatsoever. But I always wanted, anybody else want their hair like Steve Timmons back in the 80s? I mean, hell, I still want my hair like Steve Timmons. Thank you, Joseph, for that. Greg writes this, openers were okay, some better than others, but Gillis was hilarious. I love the show. So that place was packed with people watching Shane Gillis this past Saturday, from what I had heard. So it is Daughtry and Disturbed coming up later on tonight. I believe that Tony Donahue is taking Blake, my son, tonight. That's going to be awesome. They hang. That means I'm going to stay here and wait, I think. I'm going to wait them out.
He's going to hold down the fort.
I feel bad, too, because they want me to go, and I go, man. And this is where I sound like I try so hard not to be 55, and here's where I sound 55. I go, yeah, it's really going to be damn loud. I don't know if I want to do that.
I mean, it's not going to be Lamb of God loud, though.
No, but it's going to be loud.
It'll be loud, for sure.
Like nothing is Lamb. I saw that in the field house. It was the loudest thing I'd ever been a part of. Like Metallica sounded like Air Supply when they came out there after him. I go, God dang, really? Now, wait a minute. I can't hear anything now after Lamb of God opened up for Metallica. That was what? Goes all the way back to like 2008 or something like that, I think, is when they played in the field house.
I believe that was their Death Magnetic tour, correct?
Man. And I loved it. That was great. And I had great seats. My friend Doug Wiggin and I attended together. But seriously, like Lamb of God, and I'd never heard of them, and they were just outrageously loud. And then Metallica came out, and I thought, are they going to sing All Out of Love? Is this like Christopher Cross? What kind of light rock are we listening to right now? It's Metallica. So crazy.
So that was at the field house.
It was at the field house.
I don't know why I had it in my head that was at Ruoff.
It was incredible. Are you guys asking if maybe our Redlegs are waking up and recognizing Afternoon affair in the Bay, 6-1 Reds, bottom of 6. Now that I've said that, they'll probably lose. 6-1. Nick Martinez spinning a gem right now of 5 with 1 earned run and 4 hits and 6 Ks. So evidently, the Giants have been what the doctor ordered for the Reds. And they need a doctor because their players are always hurt, like Matt McClain. Reds 6-1 right now, bottom of the 6th inning. Let's see what else we had today. Cardinals a 2-1 loser. That's too bad. And 13 to the Pirates. Oh, man, too bad. Rangers 6, Cubs 2. I'm sad. Shout out to Corey Kenny. 4-3 Yankees over the Tigers today. The Marlins a blanking of the Mets 5-0 as well. This afternoon, now you also have, besides the Reds and the Giants, some afternoon games going on. Bottom of 7, Padres 2, Athletics 1 in Sacramento. Top of the 6th inning, the Diamondbacks 7-0 over Baltimore. And the bottom of the 4th inning, Dodgers trailing the Nationals 5-4. Astros 4, Mariners 0 in Seattle. Top of the 4th. White Sox in Cleveland 6-10 later on tonight, and then everything else. On the short term, I should say, coming up after that. Pacers back at it. Coming up tomorrow night, the first of 2. This is not going to be on Pacers TV, unfortunately. On TNT, which I know that's supposed to be great, but it's not. I want it local. You always want it local. Pacers struggled last night, and if there was ever a game in which a team said, listen, we're going to tank, we do not want to win this game, that was the Wizards last night. Hey, you know what? Even the guys that have been performing well, yeah, you're not playing anymore. We want to lose this game. We want to remain big in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. And I thought it was funny because San Antonio is going to probably end up winning that anyway, right? The way that goes. There's no way that can happen again. Pacers get a win. And that's a big deal. Pacers get Cleveland at home tomorrow night. And then on Friday night, they close out their regular season home schedule with Orlando on the road in Cleveland. That is coming up on Sunday to close things out. Nick Martin says, I was at that show too. My ears rang for a week. It was insane. I could not believe how loud that was. Skivvy says, I swear Lamb of God played their one hit twice at that show. They probably did, but I couldn't tell. It was incredible. I don't know how James over there does it. Nathan Christensen, the director of athletics, joined us a little bit earlier for Indiana State. Today is a big day in Terre Haute. Give to Blue 25. So you can check that out. That is our Indiana State University. Going for it. Hey, by the way, too, I don't know if you've seen this, though. I mentioned you get the Cavaliers and the Pacers tomorrow night. So the Pacers with a win, and they locked down the 4 seed, and that's home court in the first round of the postseason. They get Cleveland tomorrow night. That also can come by virtue of a Bucks loss. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, and Max Strus all listed as out for tomorrow night against the Pacers. So Garland, Mobley, so it'd be easier to try to determine who will play for the Cavaliers tomorrow night at the Fieldhouse. I don't know. Is that what TNT you think was digging when they go, yeah, let's go ahead and put this on the schedule. A little primetime moment on TNT, Indy, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Garland, Mobley, Mitchell, Strus, all listed as out tomorrow night. There you have it. All right, 239-1070 is the number. Mike is in New Pal up this afternoon. Hey. Hello, Mike. How are you, bud?
Well, I'm doing good. How are you doing, John?
How's Donna?
Oh, awesome. Doing better. I appreciate that.
You got it, buddy. We're thinking about it. You know that.
I know, and that's why I love your show, and I love hanging out with you. Hey, you forgot somebody as far as the volleyball. What about Karch Karai?
Karch Karai, yes.
Yeah, he was pretty much bad. You know what?
They had great names. St. John Smith, Karch Karai. I just always thought about Steve Timmons because he had that badass flat top hairdo.
Well, I used to have a badass flat top too, but as you get older and I'm 55, it's kind of thinning out. But hey, the loudest concert I ever heard at Gamebridge, well, I was Bankers back then, was Godsmack and Metallica. And the two drummers went, it was like dueling banjos. And I walked out of there and I couldn't hear for 2 days.
Yeah.
It was like, dear God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was Lamb of God for me. I go, what? I didn't know who they were and what they were. I just knew what, it was something right there, Mike. Hey,
did Lindsay take the win?
She finished, I believe, second in both.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Second in both. Seriously, it was like the combination of the Buffalo Bills in the late 80s, early 90s right there.
Yeah.
Finished
Jim
second
Kelly in 4 straight Super
both.
Bowls, and
yeah, she was a badass and got it done. But to second place, our friend Litzy won Diamond Madness with Moyer Fine Jewelers, and I got to see who ended up winning ours. But it was a tight race, tight run to the finish.
Well, we'll talk to you Saturday night, buddy.
You got
Take care.
That's Mike and Donna from New Pal right there. We'll close it out. I know Fulton's there. He's got big news for us. Fulton will close out. Bill will close out. It's coming up next on a busy show day. And again, tomorrow, Cavaliers without basically everybody that's anybody. Go over that and a lot more. Get you set for what is going to be the remainder of the week. That's coming up next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Flats guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, let's go. Blink 182 fans out there. You want to go see him? Ruoff, September. Great show. I think that's a hell of an idea you have right now. 239-1070. Number 9 is going to go because we love you. What do you think about that? Number 9 at 239-1070. Blink 182 tickets. JMV Takeover Saturday night, 6 until midnight. The reason why I'm telling you now, Brian No is in for me now, or tomorrow, I should say. And then Greg Rakestraw on Friday, so I am out. I'm going to go down to GC, and I think with GC, I think G is going to make me drive to Jasper. I dig Jasper. Shout out to the Schnitzelbank. But I will be back on Saturday night with a JMV Takeover just for you. 6 until midnight, and I promise you, as we always do, will be a blast. Plus, remember this, I believe we're going to have at least one road show coming up before the race, I think the night before the race, where they are camping in the infield. I'll let you know. Meantime, give me Fulton, James. Would you at 239-1070 right now? Fulton, you said you had big news. What is it?
Yes, I do. I just got an email from the Colts Hall of Fans. It says, good afternoon. On behalf of the Indianapolis Colts and Elgin, congratulations again on being selected as one of the Hall of Fans winners. We are thrilled to offer you the opportunity to join this group for the 2025 NFL season.
Look at you. The Hall of Fan is Fulton. Well done.
Yep. And what's the theme for on Saturday night?
We're going all 80s. I mean, you normally go with your ukulele remix with September by Earth, Wind and Fire, but you can go something else if you want. That's okay.
I'm good. I'm good. I can just do the Earth, Wind and Fire and everything.
I figured you would say that, buddy. I did. Hey, congratulations on the Hall of Fan with the Colts.
Yeah. I have to be there 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 26th of April.
All right, well, go. Make sure you go find the Gorman's office and hang out there until he gets there, okay?
I sure will, John.
You got it.
See you on Saturday.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. That's Fulton right there. Let's go Bill at 239-1070 next. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, I want to extend my congratulations and good wishes to Fulton also. That sounds
yeah,
pretty
that's
awesome.
Good for Fulton, isn't it? Good for him. He's just got it all working, buddy. He does.
I like to see people that support the show win, you know what I mean?
No doubt about that, yes.
And speaking of winning, as far as the Pacers, any inclination at all of resting people and taking the foot off the gas, I just got to remind people what Crash Davis told Nuke Lelouch in the movie Bull Durham. You don't mess with a winning streak.
No.
Pacers are on a 5-game winning streak, got a chance, I think a pretty good chance, especially if Cleveland's not going to play anybody tomorrow night, of getting to 50 games. And as a fan, hitting the 50-game plateau is what's most important to me. And also what's important to me is I think the Colts need to sign Peyton Hendershot, who wants out of Kansas City because he's not going to outseat Travis Kelce. So why not give the kid from Lisbon, Indiana, a chance? Bring him back home.
You got it. Hey, Billy, next week we're out and about. We'll see you then, okay, buddy?
We'll be there.
Nathan Christensen, Director of Athletics for Indiana State, our Indiana State University. Katie Baird of the Indy Ignite. Remember, 7 o'clock on Saturday night at the Fishers Event Center. A big deal going on up there. Kevin Bowen and Jeremiah Johnson of Pacers TV. James, great job out of you. Brian Knows got you at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Greg Rakestraw on Friday. I'll talk to you Saturday night.